Yeah.
Okay, somebody's recording. Okay, I've shared my screen. Don't be horrified. It's okay. I'm just normal, average-looking guy. Okay, so I'm going to start. So this is not a very formal session. Um, what I have prepared is that I have to show you just a basic application how to get into information security if you have not been, or if you want to really get a hands-on experience with information security or hacking skills and all of that, right? So this is not really a technical, this is a slightly technical session. This is where I will start, and then we'll follow up with that with with the discussion on what do security people actually do in organizations, and like what's day-to-day life, how to get into so initially I would tell you like how the hacking and all of that works, and then later on we'll get into like how to actually get a job, what is the career like, what how much are we talking about money, and how's the life like and all of that. So I'll share some of my personal experiences, and I'm not going to brag about it, but it, I uh, so I work in 5 different countries, and so yeah, so pretty much aware of quite a lot of cultures and working cultures as well. So I am sharing my screen. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, you're showing Ubuntu or
Yeah,
virtual
exactly.
machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Ubuntu. Okay, perfect then. So I'm just going to log in. That's it. Simple password. Now, what I'm going to show is that there's a application called webgoat. It's spelled like this, right? And you can actually go to their website. That's not their website. Have I opened it? No. So they have a GitLab, very active GitLab repository, and you can go there and you can download the code. Yeah, so this is their GitLab repository, and in the beginning you can say this. So they have released the version 8. It's a deliberately insecure web application, and this webgoat actually contains all of those typical errors or mistakes that or things that a programmer would overlook while development, and you as a hacker would take advantage of that. So I'm just going to go through a quick installation. We also would need OS Zap for that. Well, the exercise I show actually doesn't actually require it, but just in case. And just explain a few things about it. Like, I'll just perform one SQL injection as well with you guys. Hopefully, you won't be bored to death. So you see, the easiest way is to actually download the Docker file. That's the most easiest way, and I would recommend using this one if you are only doing hacking. But if you want to learn how to patch it, don't do that. Then go slightly downward, and then there is this. You download, no, not even this one. Sorry, run from the sources. So you clone the repository locally, and then you compile the project by running these commands. So basically, I'm not really sure how well versed are you guys in Git and all of these. Uh, are you guys like really good programmers, or so do you guys know a lot about Git? And when I say these, like pull, push, and all of that, would you be able to understand that?
Yes, I
Yeah, we
I know
will.
about it. Like
Okay,
can pull, push, clone the repositories in GitHub.
that's awesome.
Previous fetch, yeah, all
Okay,
that.
and is it the same case with other people as well? I suppose. If you look, if you tell me that I don't know, it's okay. I can explain. It's not a big deal. It's a very simple thing. If you don't know, it's okay. I didn't know for a long time, so it's okay to say it. Okay. Um, so I'll assume that you guys know then. Okay. So you clone it locally, then you basically check out, and then you do the MVN install. So basically, what it does is that it pulls a lot of other third-party repository, and then third-party libraries, and then install it, and then you will be able to run it using the Spring Boot. And now it does everything for you in the background, right? So yeah, so that I would recommend this one if you want to hack and then patch it and then run the application again and then try to rehack it and then it won't work. That's what ideally you should all be doing right now. But this is just an introduction session, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take the easier way. I hope demo guys are okay with me. So this is the command that I think, yeah, docker run. Basically, what it will do is that it will download these Docker files, these Docker images, and then it will spin up 3 images. So on port 88, 8888, 8080, and 9090. So one of those application is webgoat, which is the one I will be working with. Then there is also another one which is also pulled with the same command. That's called webwolf. So we are not going to do that right now. I'll just stick to the simple one. So it's doing its own magic, all of those things. Let's wait for a few more seconds. One thing is that with this webgo tutorial is that you need OS Zap proxy. So what this is basically is that when you request something from a website, so that website is generally not your local host, right? It's somewhere, someone else's computer. So there is a path between you and the server from where you're requesting it. So somewhere along that line, if somebody can wiretap it, like whatever request that you are sending is, they can see it. So whatever is in the plain text, they will be able to see it. And yeah, so that's why the recommendation is always to use HTTPS, so that the content of your request is not seen, only URL and whatever is sent is as a part of the parameters of the URL, only those are visible, because they have to be, otherwise you won't be able to route towards that server, right? So proxy is that basically thing. So Zap proxy is something which sits in the middle. This is what we use to actually perform a lot of MITM, man in the middle attacks. So I have already installed this Zap proxy before. You would need a JRE, Java Runtime Environment, to run it. Yeah, I downloaded it, and I'm just going to run it right now. Just going to update it if it is. Hopefully it's not going to take a lot of time. Anyway. So I did run it before. I think that's why it is saying that. Why is it not working? Is anyone here aware of webgoat, or somebody who has used this application before?
I haven't used it, but I've heard of it.
Mm-hmm. And Zap as well, or just the webgoat? It seems like Awais is the only person who can talk. Everybody else is too shy to talk.
All I know about Zap is like a scanner of some sort, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so scanner is one part of it. It can also automate attacks for you as well. So that's one of the best parts. So you see this screen, this is like how the OS Zap looks like, right? The good part is if you spin up or you open up a browser from here, it's already configured. Like it should ideally already be configured. I tried it before starting this session and it wasn't working properly, but ideally it should work. So like if I go here and type google.com, so whatever I'm sending from here should be visible here. Yes, you see, oh, so okay, it's working now. So you see, whatever I typed there, you can actually see all of that information. You can see what's in the payload on all of that. That's a very powerful information. You imagine somebody is browsing Facebook, and if there is no HTTPS there, and you get to see all of them, or worse, if somebody is on their banking website, and their banking website is not on HTTPS or any other encrypted forms, imagine what you are able to see. Like the initial request will contain their username and password. That's done. And if they don't have two-factor authentication available, bam, you got their username, passwords. You can log in as them. That's end of their banking history now. So so this is what Zap actually does. It sits in the middle. It intercepts the packet, and if they are not encrypted, so anything which is not encrypted will be basically could be seen very easily. So yeah, so let's open that website. Where did I open it? Yeah, this one. And let's see. Let me see. Yeah, so the local host was started. So I'm going to start localhost, and what was it? 8080, and then it was webgoat. Now that's good that it worked, but let's see another thing. If I type the same thing, and you guys have to answer me. If I type webgoat like this, do you think it will still work?
Like this capitalization? Are you talking about it?
Yeah. So I didn't capitalize W and I didn't capitalize G. Last time when I did that, I capitalized W and G. Is there anyone who could tell me whether I should be routed to the proper webgoat page or not? Anyone?
I think it should work.
Yeah, it will work. No, I don't think so it will work.
Give me a reason, Farhan. Come on.
In JavaScript, when we use the roots, so they have to be the exact. So that's why maybe.
Yeah. So this is basically, look, this part is you reaching the web server. Okay.
Oh
And
yeah,
this is
I
fine.
forgot.
Yeah. And
Maybe
this
that's
part,
the folder.
yeah, exactly. That's the folder. You can call it a folder or the web or the path. So it has to match exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I do this, oh my goodness. Yeah, maybe cache is working now, but it shouldn't work.
Yeah, because I typed Facebook
Yeah,
with
yeah.
caps and it worked, so I was like, maybe it might work.
Why is it working? Yeah, follow this path. See, now this doesn't work. Because previously when I was writing webgoat in any format, it was directly going to visit this one, see? So when I press enter, so now, so enough of that, let's go here now. So now we are at the login, right? And this is your webgoat login. And I don't know, are you guys still available? Are you guys still seeing my screen?
No, it isn't showing. We can only see your face.
Yeah, that's weird. Host disabled participant. Somebody disabled.
Oh, sorry. Let me make you the host. Stories. Let me make you the co-host.
And why do you do this to us?
So I just wanted to
Why?
make sure, like,
Why? Like
the environment.
this is a demo. Demo gods are never nice to you, and then you do this on the top of that.
Oh, I'm really sorry.
Unbelievable stuff, man.
I don't want like
You owe me a
disturbance
burger
by
now.
someone else. Yeah.
Food.
No
You owe
worries.
me. Next time I'm in Lahore, you get to take me to McDonald's or somewhere.
For sure, it's a promise now. Yeah.
You're just saying it. Okay. Let me know when you guys can see the screen. Okay. I'm sharing it, and let
We
me know
can
when
see
you.
it now.
Perfect. Then speak up when you can't see the screen, because I wouldn't know. I wouldn't notice that. Sorry, I have a really bad flu. So okay, so the first thing you have to do here is that you have to register a new user. I have already registered a couple of users. So let's see. So what should I do? So let's say Farhan 123, right, with a capital F. See what does this say? And the same password. let's see what is it does. It's complaining. It can only be lowercase digits and this hyphen sign. So that's already a bad thing for an application, right? So now I change it, and then I'm able to actually log in with the same username and password, right? So I'm going to, yeah. So now you see this is like on, you see these small things over here, these small annoying kind of buttons. These are from your Zap proxy. So like you can just start an attack, active scan, or any of these options that you can see, and you can just bombard the website with all of these attacks without knowing anything. So don't do it at your home. Don't do it on a professional website. And if police comes knocking to you, don't blame me for that. Okay. So don't, and yeah, I didn't put the disclaimer in the beginning, but please don't try these things in on a professional setup or at university or at your workplace. If you have anything, deploy it only in a very inside a virtual machine. So I'm running this inside a virtual machine and inside a Docker. So it's very, very, very safe. So I mean, when you run this application, webgoat, your system become vulnerable. So don't do that unless you know what you're. I mean, don't even do that, even if you know that what you're doing, right? And this, these kind of things, these are from because we are using Zap attack proxy. So because of that, these we get these options, and these are different kind of options you can explore at your own time when you have some. I have to finish this quick hack, and then we have to discuss about the other part as well. So let's just start with, so initially it will tell you like, oh, what is a web code, blah, 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 simple stuff. And then these are basic, some lessons, right? What is HTTP basics, proxies, CIA, what is CIA? Anyone knows what is CIA? Not the American CIA, like in security, information security, anyone? Come on, people speak up. If you don't know, it's okay.
Like integrity.
Confidentiality, integrity, or availability.
Awesome. Yeah, that's perfect for Han in a vase. That's good. So yeah, that's the basic of all of these things. Like this is CIA is what basically we will use when you get an actual information security job. This is what your metrics, like this is what your this is how you measure things. Anyway, I'll go to a simple injection tag that's called SQL injection. I suppose a lot of you might already know what is an SQL injection, or am I assuming wrong? Is there anyone who doesn't know about SQL injection? Everybody knows it. Is there anyone who knows about SQL injection? That's a very weird thing. Like I asked two different questions, and both of time it was silence. It's it's like Schrodinger's cat. Like everybody knows it, and everybody doesn't knows it all the time. So anyway, I'm going to explain it. So what happens is that whenever you request some data from a website, your website actually doesn't have that data. Your website, where web component doesn't have that data, it always is somewhere in the database. So your website basically connect to your database and ask, hey, I'm looking for this XYZ data. And then it fetches that data and then display it on your website, which is actually, sorry, the web front end, and which is actually shown on your system. And then you can see it. This is how generally web work, right? So SQL injection is that when I'm requesting that data, instead of trying a good input, I send them quote unquote a bad input. Now let's see an example of how that actually works, right? So you see, SQL is basically structured query language. So basically the way you get data from your web from databases, right? I'm just going to straight get into this one. Let's say, so here there's a small exercise. So they gave you a table like this is how your databases will be implemented. This part over here, right? So you will have columns, and then you have rows. In columns, you have user ID, first name, like the generic names of the things, and each row is a separate entry. Sorry. So each row is a separate entry in that column. So like this user ID person is Paulina Travers. That's her ID and her details. Then you have Toby Barnett and all of that. So there is a simple exercise, and they say that try to retrieve the department. So this is the question. Try to retrieve the department of the employee Bob Franco. Now you know from this table that the department is marketing. So this is Bob Franco, and his department is marketing department. But the exercise is that what SQL query would you use that? So you say, okay, select department. Okay, so we want to select department, and what is the name of the database? That's what we will write in next. So you see, I'm writing some of them in caps and some of them in small. So these caps are actually SQL, like, this is SQL language, you can say. So select department from, sorry. So what is the name of this database? So sorry, this table, not database. So name of the table is employees. Okay. So I'll just copy that and paste it. What is going on here? Yeah, I'm not doing it. Okay. So select department from employees, where I would say first name is equal to, how do you spell it? B-O-B, Bob, and last name equals to Franco. That's a very, very basic SQL query, right? So you say select department, because that's what we want. From which table? From employee table. And then we have our restriction. We say where first name equals Bob and last name equals Franco, right? We submit it and they say, wow, you've done great job. Your answer is marketing. This is perfectly fine. Anyone see problem with that?
Let me see. Like, what's the problem in the query, or like?
Yeah. So let's say you have a web service which takes your first name and last name and tells you the department all the time. That's literally the job of the web service, and I'm oversimplifying it, right? That's literally the job of the web service. Could you use something where you say, how can I do something which this code is not supposed to do? Okay.
We can just send the same query to the like first name, last name, and maybe it returns something wrong, like we shouldn't get access to.
Exactly. That's exactly what SQL injection would do. Now let's see how actually can we do that, right? So no, not this one. I don't want to do this. This is an actual injection, I think. Yeah. So this gray one. So these are more like learning sessions, and then this will be an actual example of SQL. So now you know how the SQL query is. So you have select, and you can say actually static. That will mean give me everything from user. So that will be your table name. So previous example, if you have said select everything, so they would have given us the whole line of Bob Franco, like user ID and his money and all of those other things, and also his department as well, right? So they say if an attacker has an access to the username, so like if attacker inputs data containing characters or strings that have special meaning, the data is not correctly sanitized, because SQL doesn't sanitize data for you. You have to do it yourself. The attacker can modify the intended behavior of the SQL in order to perform other malicious tasks. So basically, you have to send something to that backend, to that query, and hope that it is not being sanitized, and then you get something which you have, like, let's take an example. So if I say username is Smith, right? So let's just write Smith and see what happens. So you see, I wrote Smith here, and that became the part of the query. Now this is very, very dangerous from security perspective. Now for now, it's not really a big deal, right? That's it. You only get Smith. But now I know here that how is this query formed? Smith has a comma ending the name Smith, followed by this double quotes and hyphen, right? So what if I say, apart from Smith, I want to get everything, like all of the data, right? So I say Smith, this is actually an example here as well, color this, and then I say R1 equal to 1, and then I close it. Sorry, then I close it, and then I say this and this, right? So basically what this part is doing is that this is ignoring whatever is left in the query, and don't know whether I can run it or not. I don't see it running here. I don't see it running here. So basically here you have changed the query because the input was not sanitized. What you are able to achieve now is that you have put the name Smith and a condition which is an OR condition and which is always going to be true. So you're saying Smith or true. Basically that's what you're saying, right? So you're saying give me anything where user is Smith or anything else, basically, and you can get all the details in this table. This is what SQL injection is literally, right? That's what it explains as well now, right? So if I go back here where we perform this one, right? So let's just write it here. So select static from employees. Is it one E or is it two E's? Two E's, okay. Where let's just say last name equals Franco, right? So you see here, you only get one record, right? Right? But what if I do something malicious, and that will be instead of sending Franco, I just say Franco or 1 equals to 1. Okay, then it should be okay. It's not working. Told you guys, demo gods are not nice. Anyway, so yeah, this would be generally an SQL injection where you can get all the data in your table. So enough of that. We have just 20 minutes left anyway. So let's continue with the second part of the presentation. I couldn't put or waste a lot of time into it.
Waqar, you can take as much time as you want to. Yeah, we have no session after that. So
okay. Okay. Anyway, let's do that because a part of me is saying like, why the hell is this not working now? Anyway, so let's talk about how to get into information security, right? So there are two aspects of it. So I started my journey back in Pakistan in information security, and I started in research labs. The most important thing for you to become a hacker or any in information security is that if you want to go to the actual hacking side, you can be more involved in the programming side, then you need to know programming. But there is a whole area in information security where you don't need to know programming at all, like no programming required, nothing, You can be like normal self, no programming, and you can still be in information security. That's called audit and risk and privacy maybe as well, and some laws related to as well. So if you go down the lane of technical things, so I would strongly suggest like work on your programming skills, get involved in these kind of hacks. So this is only one application, and in that one application, this is only one part of it, right? And I didn't get a lot of time to actually prepare for, because I have my flu and all of that, so didn't had a lot of time. But this is where you would start, and then complete those exercises. There is also an XSS here as well, which is very, very common in applications as well. And once you get to understand how XSS is done, you will find different ways. So like the basic theme will remain the same, the SQL injection, XSS, CSSR, CSRF, all these kind of techniques will remain the same. The way to achieve that might be slightly different or slightly more complex in some cases, but this gives you a very, very good head start, right? So that said, you should, again, I'm emphasizing on the fact that you should be good in programming. Don't think of information security. Okay, so there is a lot of discussion about that we don't have a lot of entry-level information security jobs, which is quite true. It's also challenging for us as an industry to actually have that pathway to take someone who's very, very fresh out of college and then train them in information security. So because it's a very new field, so we don't really have a lot of history or a lot of previous data to actually see, like, what would be the best way to move forward. So sorry about, excuse me. So we don't really have that much data, but for you, that the starting point is these kind of webgoat. If you are into cloud, there is also web cloud. If you are into Kubernetes, there is a Kubernetes Kubernetes goat. So these all different technologies have these kind of vulnerable applications available. You can play with them on your own laptop or your own systems and learn a lot of things from hacking perspective and from general computer science perspective. Hacking is just like a shortcut of doing things which would normally take, like, which shouldn't be allowed in your normal application. That's what literally hacking is. So if you don't know the application very well, it would be very hard for you to find a shortcut, right? There are ways, like if you could use fuzzers, you could use that. And where you don't have to understand a lot of applications, you might be able to break them just by running fuzzers already as well. So you could also do that, but then there is no learning for you over there. It's just, everything is just like, it's like going and ordering, like, give me 1 plate of biryani, give me 2 plates of biryani, give me minus 99 plates of biryani, give me exclamation mark biryani plates. It's something like this when you ask these kind of random questions, just to confuse other person. That's the same with fuzzing, but you're doing that with a computer program. So yeah, getting into that security, the first job will be hard, especially if you are based in countries where there is not a lot of software scope, like software companies. So it is going to be a bit hard. Some people also do, there is like a very well-known pathway, is that people first get into software testing, manual but preferably automated testing, and from there they get into security, because in testing you already write user cases where you are trying to break the normal workflow. You're trying to break the software in a way, or giving it out inputs that programmer didn't think of, and that's how you break it. And that's exactly what security is also about. So a lot of people come from testing background as well. There is also an analyst background as well, but that would be more suitable to, if you could get a job in a really big multinational company, you might be able to get into those sort of, like, SOC positions, software operations center. I think that's exactly the name, where you get to check, like, different statistics and different graphs about security. And if you get an alert, you inform the team, and maybe like you might dig a bit, but I've never worked in SOC, so I don't know much about it. And then there is one thing which is super duper amazing. I wish I had time. That's called reverse engineering. This is something like you can do it in your house anywhere. Like that's like you can learn it on your own. There are a lot of sorry. Now there are a lot of available on YouTube. There are a lot of things available on YouTube videos, like how to start with reverse engineering. So you take like a binary file, maybe written in C++ originally, and then you reverse engineer it. So you can start with the simple ones where just literally just there is hello world, and then you go step by step, and then the challenge is to find out a certain flag, which also uh, yeah, so you can go step by step and increase your reverse engineering skills. There are also something which are called oh, oh my god, hackathons, but those are for security. And you basically go there and you go, maybe like, I don't think so people go there as individuals anymore. They are mostly like teams, and then they go there, and then uh, they participate, and you again have to do what they call capture the flags, as the name says. But the thing is that you're looking for so you're specifically looking for certain binary not binaries, you're searching for hash values. So like they might have hidden certain really complicated hash values in different parts of the network, or maybe like they give you a binary to reverse engineer. So all these different aspects of security come into play there. So that's why you have people in teams who have different skill sets. Some people might be good in reverse engineering in your team, somebody would be good in a network, somebody good might be good with like tools like Wireshark or maybe Zap proxy, so things like that. And then all of those team people combine, and then they kind of try to win those kind of capture the flag. So but that's capture the flag is something which is highly recommended. You could also do them offline. So like there are a lot of websites where they have put like the old capture the flags, so you can go and revisit them, and you can try to learn. So the more you break, the more you understand it, the better it is for you. The more you learn, the more technically stable you become, and the more you know, basically your worth goes up. um, and then the other part which I wanted to be mention before as well was about the analyst roles, or uh, not analyst role, mostly like compliance roles or security risk roles. So the way we see security in organizations is not like, we don't sit every day in front of computer and try to hack our systems. That's not how it works. That's none of those systems work. You have security teams for different things. So like my specialty is not hacking into systems. My specialty is I look at the software development lifecycle, SDLC, and I say, okay, so we need these XYZ tools in these parts of the software development lifecycle. So we increase our security posture. So like I would say, start with, if you don't have a static code analyzer, put in that in there. Now these are generally expensive and they have a lot of false positives. So I have to sit down with the teams and we'll discuss a lot of those outputs. One of the quick wins are SCA, software composition analysis tools. We can do that as well. Then if you are building a website, we also say that let's put on the DAST solution, which would be Zap as well. Zap can work as a DAST. So these are dynamic application security tools, and they would be basically dynamic analysis security tools, and they would be basically the difference between this DAST and SAST is the SAST is like passive tool, so it takes your code and reads it and say, I think there is a problem here, and they say point out, and then you can patch it. DAST, on the other hand, is like they say, okay, I'm not going to look into your code. You can run the application as a web service, whatever. And then once you are running the application, then I'm going to attack you. And then because the difference is that with SAST, you can only see what is available in front of you. So you only see the code that is in front of you. We have something called reflection in code. Reflection means that when you're actually running the application, you can call code while you're running. That code would only be downloaded when your application is actually running. So if it's not running, that code is not there. That code could be malicious, and that is where the dash tools comes in, that they can look at the code which is being executed when the application is actually running. And but that is considered, I think, black box testing, because it's not actually looking into the code, it's actually looking at the behavior and inferring from the behavior whether it's a malicious one or not a malicious, sorry, it's, if there is a vulnerability or not, or no vulnerability there. So yeah, so that would be what I would deal in, right? And remember one thing, in an actual job scenario, you put security tools into those processes and you work with your software development teams. Actually doing the technical part is the easiest part. The difficult part, and may I dare to say it, the difficult part is working with the people and convincing them that security is important. I don't know how many of you actually work in security, but the biggest challenge that we face is that I have to convince people that this security story is more important than their new shiny feature branch that they are developing. And that's where a lot of communication comes in. You have to be very good communicator in security, because coming from security, imagine somebody's building their applications, they have worked really, really hard on that. You run a tool as a security person, you find a lot of vulnerabilities, and then you're going to them, they're like, hey, your application is absolutely crap. It has those X number of vulnerabilities in there. And yeah, so you shouldn't be allowed to actually run that application in production. No, you have to say that in a very, very nice way. You can't just say that and bombard that person with with whatever you want to say. So yeah, so so that will be again like more technical roles in security. There are also people who are pen testers. So pen testers are the people where you would actually do hacking. But again, a lot of idea when I was actually student as well was that, oh, I just sit in front of computer and just try to bake the system all the time. No, that's not how it works. That's not how pen testers work at all. Before starting pen testing, you have to take authorization. You have to take authorization from the system, and you have to define a scope, because you can't pen test an entire company. Companies are extremely huge. Their infrastructure is all over the world, and you don't know where to start with it. Now, given that I know this is not a realistic, a hacker wouldn't care about your scope. A hacker wouldn't care where your systems are. A hacker would just hack. But the thing is that when you're actually working as a professional pen tester, you actually have to sign NDAs. You have to make sure that you have got yourself covered. If in case during pen testing you break one of their systems, they don't put you as a liability, like they don't put you liable for that, and then you have to pay all of those damages, which could be huge. So you don't just go and start hacking. You define the scope as well. Like you say, okay, an organization has like hundreds of applications running on. You can't just say I'll hack all of them. You can say, okay, in 100 I'll focus on the first 20, which is part of one business unit, right? And then you focus on them, and then you try to hack them. And even then you don't hack them in the production one. You hack them maybe in the test one. That's where you start. And then from there you infer that how much is how much similarity is there in the test environment and in the production environment. And so basically that will be um, more near to the perception that people have during student life, that how actually security engineers work. And one more thing is that security engineers generally is not considered as an entry level role. Like it's pretty hard to become a security engineer at the entry level. A lot of people would think that you would be taught security while you're doing it, but unfortunately that's not the case in industry. A lot of people who are in security, a lot of them are self-learned. So there's this big gap as well. Like we have very few people who are in security who have got like maybe like a decade of experience, and then we are people who are very new, and like some of them might know their way, like they might get a mentor as well. And that is actually very helpful in security. But a lot of people don't get mentors, and they don't know what to do, and they're just like confused all the time. Chime in your questions, speak up if you have any specific questions. it feel like that I'm just talking to my laptop and I'm going insane or something. So if you have any questions, speak up, or you're just all sleepy now.
There were like few people in the chat though,
Hmm.
but yeah, there are no questions. But they were like trying to interact in the chat.
Yeah, I can see that chat now because I missed that. Hmm. Yeah, there's so yeah, so that's generally what the life of a security engineer would be, and salaries are pretty good, to be honest. I don't know the market in Pakistan right now because I've been away for quite a long time now. But outside, like here in Europe, I'm based in Ireland. Market is pretty good. If you are a security engineer with few years of experience, you can get job really easily. Uh, People are willing to pay good money. But if you go towards US, then it's like a totally different ball game. So yeah, so it's pretty good in terms of money. The one of the biggest luxury of working in computer science, any like being an engineer, software engineer, or anything, is that you can work from home. Like in my case, I had some personal issues at my home. I shared that on LinkedIn, so I'll share it here as well. So my wife was sick and she was in hospital for 3 months, and I had to take care of my kids here, and I was working from home, and yeah, I was able to do everything in time, everything literally. So I had to do everything, all of my house things, house chores, and then I was able to do my job and yeah, support my family as well, which you can't do if if you're in any other sort of job, which is pretty hard to do. So I think, how much are we vulnerable? Usman Muhammad, companies like FPN, Google take our data and show us specific data. Does that not come under cybersecurity? Good question, Usman. That's actually a great question from privacy perspective, and I'm glad that you ask it. So the way they do it, I think Farhan answered. That's data-driven marketing. Yeah, kind of. So the day they do it is that whenever you take few more moments on when you're browsing Facebook, they say, okay, this guy is interested. Even if you don't interact with that, they would know that you spend more time on that certain particular piece of information. They would infer what kind of information that was, and I've seen that the translation part has improved as well. So like if you write Urdu in Roman, it's it's pretty good. Like the translation in English is getting really good. Initially it was pretty bad. So like you can see that how even if you write Urdu in Roman language, Facebook will know your intentions. So what they do is they basically creates a profile of you, like what are your interests, and then they sell it. So there's a very big saying that if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So you're not paying for Google and Facebook, so you are the product. That's what their marketing is. That's how they are a business. They have to stay uh, in the business, and that's how they do it. Like they gather profiles of you, they profile you, and then they show you ads accordingly. So yeah, that's what it is. So how much are we vulnerable? I mean, that's a good question, but it's a very generic one. So I downloaded a database, I think 3 years ago. Somewhere there was a leaked database, and I downloaded my own system, and it was 44 gigabyte or something. And that database was just text, no pictures, and it was 44 gigabyte of username and passwords. And I kid you not, so that data was from 2008 and 9, and I checked my own username at that time. The email account that I was using, it has exactly the perfect password. I was using that password at that time, and I was like, this is actually accurate data because this is showing my own password. So yeah, so we are not, don't consider yourself safe as per se. If you are online, if you have posted something, it's out forever. It's you can't take it down. That's how simple, if I have to put it bluntly. If you have liked something, or if you have posted a picture of yourself, or you've said that, oh, you are in place XYZ, it's, imagine that, this is something everybody knows now. Everybody, doesn't matter if, even if you have not shared it as publicly. Okay, so can companies like FB, Google, etc. hold our OS? You mean operating system? Anonymous Kiddo, can you please, can you maybe unmute yourself and just ask the question, like, Anonymous Kiddo, don't want to talk, don't want to speak up?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like when you were learning cybersecurity, like what resources or uh, like websites or books did you read to, start your career? Or did you do your degree in focus on cybersecurity?
Good
And
question,
also,
Avies.
and also like uh, you said it's not entry-level jobs are not easily available for cybersecurity related in especially in Pakistan. So how does one get the required experience when he's just graduated from computer science and the required experience like for specifically cybersecurity jobs?
Okay, so two great questions. One is like, how did I start it? So I started, so during my bachelor's degree, I took two courses. One was network security, and the other one was cryptography. That was which actually sparked the interest. It was really fun at that time. And then I did my master's degree, and in my master's degree, I didn't study anything related to cryptography. But then when I came back to Pakistan, I was teaching at a university, Bahri University. Actually, Qasim was my colleague, um, and so I started taking those advanced cryptography courses in NUST at that time. And I was also taking network security again. It was like a advanced course as well with at NUST as well. These were both master's level courses, but advanced, that sparked more interest from my side. And then I joined a research lab um, at FAST University, and there I learned more about network security. So for me, it was more like things were more related to what I was either studying or doing job in it. Other than that, what I was trying to do is that, so back in 2016, I was working as a software developer. Now, I'm just explaining that, I'm just saying it so that like you can get an extra bit of motivation, like how you can break into these things. So at that time, till that time, I hadn't worked as what you could say a security professional in a big company till that job. Either I was working in research capacities most of the time as a researcher, which is great for learning, but it doesn't really give you industry experience. But the thing is that I learned about x64 architecture, x84 architecture. I learned so many things about hardware security that has not actually directly helped me, but it opened up my mind and the different kind of hacks that could be done, and like the possibility of what can and what cannot be done. It just like expanded my horizon, like that I should be open to a lot of things, a lot of attacks than before. And not just, well, okay, so when I was working as in 2016, was working as a software developer. I wanted to get back into security. So what I was doing at that time is that I literally took this webgoat application, and I would work on it for 2 to 3 weeks, and I was working full time. I had kids and all of my life, everything going on, and with all of that, I still manage. I managed to do all of this exercises in time, like in 2 to 3 weeks, and yeah. So and that was actually the start of web security for me. Before this, I had no interest in web security. Like the most I would be interested would be at network level, like layer 3 attacks, and that's it. Maybe layer 4, but that's it. Nothing at layer 7. Like I wouldn't. It wouldn't never interest me, but I had to do that because this is what the industry was looking for at that time. So I pivoted a bit. I worked on these. Literally started from webgoat, and then read a few research papers as well. Like read what are buffer overflows, how do they actually work, and why can't we patch them? Why they are still a thing, why SQL injections are still a thing, why can't we just simply patch them? Why? So yeah, so this is where it started, and then once I got into jobs where my focus was basically my title was a security engineer. So yeah, it was after that it was kind of easier for me, sorry, to continue with the security. So yeah, the first job could be difficult, but doesn't mean that there are no jobs. Like people are doing jobs here in Pakistan. I know people in Lahore. Like I don't know them personally, but I have seen people with titles, proper security people titles, working in banks, CISO jobs as well. So but again, before getting into security, I personally strongly recommend people to have a good hands-on experience with a developer. If you are coming into software engineering, uh, like when you do a degree, you want to become something big in software industry. I would strongly recommend, especially if you're going toward the technical side, not the project management side. I strongly recommend to get hands-on experience with development. Get to know how developers think, and then break that thinking. That's how you get into security. There's also another way I explained, like before, that you can start as a test engineer and then work through your way towards the security rules. So yeah, then you can also use the fact that GitHub is free and open. So you can always say that, like you can solve all of these exercises and upload or commit the answers to your Git repositories. You can always do that. There are a lot of other hackathons and capture the flags. They're very good for technical. So once you have all of these things in your profile will look really good. If you don't get a job even in Pakistan, I've seen people who got their first job directly out of the country, like in some Western nations. So that's also a possibility, but you need to have good understanding of what you're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Farhan is saying that, was I being prone? Yeah, has I been or was it something like
Yeah,
that?
has I been, yeah.
Yeah, has I been pawned? Yeah, there's a website which actually tells you exactly, yeah, your data is hacked and any breach exactly, but you don't get to see your username and password, right? Yeah, but yeah, you can actually, like the places where this guy, I think he's Australian. He downloads all of these big dumps. Is most of those dumps are actually publicly available. Like you could create your own, like personal have I been porned website. So yeah. So Basil Alim is sorry, I joined late. I have a deep interest in cybersecurity currently. I am third semester, don't know from where to start. Can you please get Basil? Are you um I saw Kasim name there. I think he's not here anymore. Basil, are you at Bahria University in Lahore? Some reason people are too shy.
He
Speak up,
said
people.
yes. Yes, he's from Beria.
Okay. So yeah, so if you are from Bahria, and so this means you are based in Lahore. Lahore is very good. Like I did my engineering from UT Peshawar, and at that time, I think in the whole of Peshawar, there were only two software houses, which I came to know after I graduated. So yeah, so but now the setup is pretty good. You can find a lot of good software houses. Like get into software development. try to start with these kind of exercises which I just mentioned, which is webgoat. Try with these, learn it. Don't just run scripts. Learn it at the lower level, like how exact, why can I break, how I was able to break it. Like think out of the box. Don't just search for answers. First try to break all of them yourself, and in that process your learning will increase, and you will be understanding, like you will understand more and more different ways to think out of the box. That's what important. So yeah, so and also work on your programming skills, people. If you want to get into the technical side, work on your programming, people. Like your programming is extremely important. Like even if you are in security, the way like the way the whole industry is going is what we call shift left. So basically you look at the security aspect in the beginning of the software development life cycle. So when they're developing cycle like software code, that's where you say, aha, you have done a mistake here, fix it. It's easier, it's less costly, and you can fix the bugs easier with lower cost. But if you find the same vulnerability at the end, like just before finishing the product, that's a difficult. So like imagine you're going from your home to somewhere, right? And everything is ready, and all of a sudden somebody tells you, oh, you have put your pants upside down, inside out, sorry, not upside down. You can't put your pants upside down, inside out. Imagine, like the first you have to go back, you have to take out your shoes, and then you have to go. And imagine if somebody would have told you just when you have put on your pants, like, oh, your pants are actually inside out. You would be like, oh, okay, you can quickly fix it, right? So that's exactly how software vulnerabilities work as well. Like if you fix it in the beginning, it will be much less costly. So Bella Ciao, can we reach you after this session? Of course you can reach me after this session. I don't know. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is literally the same name, and yeah, my position is DevSecOps, so probably it won't be that hard for you to find me on LinkedIn. So yeah, you can reach me there. How, Pedro? So CTFs can help my portfolio. That's it. CTFs can definitely your portfolio would definitely be upgraded by CTFs. And there is also another big thing with CTF is that when you put like when you work towards CTF, you meet a lot of people, and when you meet a lot of people, people know who you are, and then they talk to you, and then it's better for your job hunting because now you know people in the industry. Imagine someone who has no one in the industry, and imagine someone who knows people in the industry. So it's always going to help you. And getting a job is always, there is always this aspect of knowing people. If you know people, you'll get into good jobs fairly easily, because you will know of more opportunities, you'll apply in more positions. So yeah, definitely playing CTFs is not only technically good for you, it's also socially good for you as well. uh, so Usman, so what can a person who is not into cybersecurity can protect themselves, or is just normal to have data leak? So look, Usman, if you have if you have a profile at Facebook or Google Gmail, there's not a lot you can do personally, to be honest. Like if there's a data leak from there, just give me a second, sorry. So yeah, if you have your data leak, if they have their data leak, Yahoo has a data leak, so like there's not a lot of things you can do about it. You just have to, like all you can do is like you can say, okay, I'm not going to use this service again. But then almost every I think system had a data leak in last few years. So either you don't use it, or like don't use their services maybe. So that's one possibility. On a personal level, what you can do is that if somebody is trying to hack you, you can always say that, okay, you have your username and password, but you can also put a two-factor authentication. That's always recommended, always better than your normal username and password, because if I can get your password, I can log in as you from anywhere. But if you have enabled two-factor authentication, so even though if I get your password from like some leaked database, I won't be able to log in as you, because I would need that second factor, which is might be your mobile number. which I don't have access to, or chances of me getting access to both are very, very low. That's how I would put it. Okay, Mas Khalil, does anyone know how have I been prawn website algorithm works? So basically, they have this gathering of all the uh, data leaks, and this guy has set up like an infrastructure, I think, in Amazon, and it's basically querying their language. So like they sanitize my data. They may sanitize the data. They might. I mean, if I were them, I would lose all the passwords just so that in case, well, it doesn't make really sense. Like, I mean, passwords are already out there, but I don't know. So I imagine they have databases of all the league data, and they are constantly adding up. And they have their usernames, they have the passwords maybe. So when you put like your username in there, they simply search through run algorithm, run through their databases and tell you, oh yeah, your email address was in one of the data leaks, which was that and which was leaked in that certain XYZ leak. So like all of those leaks now have fancy names as well. So that's how generally my understanding is. Maybe wrong, but I don't know what else they. Why would they do anything else? They have data dumps and scan your. Yeah, Farhan, you're right. Well, yeah, Maz, the data search is fast. Yeah. So I don't know how helpful this session is for you people, but if you have any questions, you can ask me now, or maybe like find me on LinkedIn and you can ask me later. Uh, yeah. So that's pretty much it from my side. If you have any question, fire away.
Yeah, I guess we can end the session and people can contact you on your LinkedIn or any other platform. It was a great pleasure to have you with us. We learned a lot